Yeah, I saw it. I knew about it. I mean, that's been well written.
I knew I should use it for something, I got a chance.
Thanks to him, we can have this post. There's something about money that's very, very important. He chairs the House Ways and Means Committee. Mr. John Sadler, who is a member of our board, and we thank you for coming up. He came all the way up here from Vincennes this morning. It's a long drive. Thank you, John. And also Orville Lundy from the Department of Administration, who is extremely involved in this because of some of the actions that we have with state properties that's required all over the state. Likewise, we have many friends and officers and members of the department. We thank each and every one of you for being present. I guess there's a couple gentlemen in the back that I would particularly be remiss if I didn't announce their presence, and one of them is the first lieutenant. I understand that the Pendleton post was a fellow by the name of Bert Davis. His son Leon Davis is here, and Mr. Davis, it's a real pleasure to have you join us here today.
Thank you.
The lieutenant at Pendleton back in who retired in 1962, Mr. Charles Epson, is here. And Lieutenant, we're pleased to have you join us as well. I just lost it again. No, it's back. They're still playing with it back here. I guess what I would like to do is introduce a few people to say some words to you. As you can look around this place, you can see some things have already begun to happen, but this is a groundbreaking ceremony as we start that operation and officially send it on its way. I think that we will be pleased to see the results that will come about in the next year. Our first speaker that we have with us this morning, just to say a few words, is Mrs. Judy Honey from the Governor's Office. She's Executive Assistant to the Governor and is the liaison between our agency, the Indiana State Police, as well as Department of Corrections and Indiana Guard. She represents more people than anybody else on the Governor's staff, but she is our liaison to the Governor, and if we will, would you welcome, please, Miss Judy Honey?
Thank you, Larry. We're here today to celebrate the beginning of construction of a new State Police District 51 post. I think it is important, though, to note and to celebrate the spirit of cooperation that prevails among the criminal justice agencies in this area. The state police enjoy a good working relationship with the sheriffs and local police agencies, the prosecutors, the courts, and certainly the Indiana Department of Corrections Pendleton Reformatory here across the street. In fact, the site on which the new post will be built was Department of Correction land. The state police and the Department of Correction reached an agreement to trade the old state police post for the land on which we stand for the new post. I'm not sure it's true, but I heard that the state police even threw in their superintendent to the Department of Correction. It is appropriate that we recognize those without whose efforts the new building would not have been possible. There are many who deserve credit for assisting in the development of the plans for the new building. Those people include the members of the Indiana General Assembly, and particular recognition should go to the legislators who represent this area. Representative Pat Kiley, who is the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, as Larry noted, has been instrumental in his support for the new post. Representative Kiley also has been very supportive of another state agency in which I have participated, the Department of Correction, which operates the Indiana Reformatory and will soon open a new facility, across the street from where we stand today. Other legislators who represent this three-county area served by District 51, who were invited to participate in this ceremony, are Senators McCarty, Jessup, Rogers, Johnson, Swords, Thompson, and Boback, and Representatives Davis, Dellinger, Donaldson, Bailiff, Weber, Moberly, Richardson, Boatwright, and Beck. This area is well represented. We thank them as well for their supportive efforts. Those to whom we owe gratitude also include the superintendent and others in management position of the State Police Department, the State Police Board members, the Department of Administration, the State Budget Agency, and the citizens of Pendleton and the surrounding area for the support they provide. While we are grateful to those individuals whose efforts brought us to this point, those in government and in areas of influence, it is vitally important that we also recognize those people who will actually give the breath of life to the new State Police District 51 post. For the new building itself will merely consist of bricks and mortar. It will stand only as a symbol that represents a tradition carried forward by the men and women of the Indiana State Police Department. And we owe them a debt of gratitude every day for the fine service that they perform for the citizens who live and work in District 51, and in fact, for all the citizens in Indiana. It gives me great pleasure to participate in the ceremony today on behalf of Governor Bob Orr, and to take this opportunity to express the Governor's thanks to all of the officers of the finest state police department in the nation, the Indiana State Police. And to the officers of District 51, I hope this new facility will serve you as well as you have served the citizens of this district. And I hope you will be as proud of the new facility as we are proud of you and what you represent. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. I would next like to introduce to you a gentleman who is not only just that, a gentleman, but also a very dear friend and former superintendent of the Indiana State Police, now acting superintendent of the Department of Corrections. I wondered how we got that deal pulled off. I'm glad to hear that now. John Shattle is the individual who really got our entire state police building program started back several years ago. I'm not certain exactly how many. He can probably tell us that, but he can also let you know that this is the 9th post that we've been able to get started, and it's all under his guidance, direction, and leadership that it began and has moved to the status that it's in right now. So I introduce to you John Shattle.
Thank you, Larry, and ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to be here. It's about sometime in the early 30s that old state police post up the road and I both arrived here in Madison County. And I'm happy to hear right straight from the executive assistant to the governor that it's now official that we were both involved in the trade for this property. It's hard for me to figure out which side of the trade I'm on. I was superintendent of state police when we negotiated with the Department of Correction over this land that we're on and negotiated the trade for the current post. That post will come to the Department of Correction and it will continue in government service and will be put to good use there. You can be assured of that. I'm very happy to see Charles Epperson here. After traveling around the north end of the state for about 7 or 8 years as a young state trooper, I negotiated a transfer back to my home district here, and Charlie Epperson was the lieutenant that approved it, and I'll be eternally grateful for that, Charlie, because I didn't think I was ever going to get back home here where I feel at home. I remember as superintendent of state police negotiating another event, which was the construction of a post. Where was it to be? We've built several. We have a few yet to go. And during those negotiations, I remember talking to Representative Kiley concerning the location of this post right here and how it was a priority and that hope that we could begin construction. It's with his support and his position in the legislature that decision was made, and arrangements were started that have brought us here today for this ceremony. I'm pleased to be involved with the state police for all those years and then in what's brought us here today, and now I'm very pleased to be involved with another fine agency of state government, the Indiana Department of Correction, your neighbors across the street here. When we talked about across the street a few years ago, we always meant the Department of Correction. When we say across the street now, we're talking about the state police. So I just turn a different direction off of the state highway here when I'm pulling into my institution to get gas or to deal with some new opportunity of state government. It's always a pleasure to be involved in beginnings and to be here to see the beginning of this fine new facility to serve the people of this area of the state, which means so much to me personally. It is a great pleasure, and I thank you for the invitation, and congratulations to you, Indiana State Police.
Thank you, Commissioner Shettle. The next gentleman I'd like to introduce to you is also a friend of mine who's very much involved in state government and in all programs of administration, overseeing and guidance in building programs all over. It's Mr. Orville D. Lundy. He's Commissioner of the Department of Administration. Without his help and efforts, facilitation of transfers of properties between state agencies just is not possible. And with that, I'll introduce to you Mr. Orville Lundy.
Judy and Larry and John and Pat, I feel like, you notice I call them by their first name. We are close enough in the relationship, I think, between the Department of Administration and these agencies that we have a really good working relationship. And I'm very proud because sometimes the Department of Administration is noted for its no, you can't do this, and in the effect of the police department. And we are really not that. We try to cooperate, and I have wonderful cooperation with people I just call them. I think I know them all in person. It seems like a sort of a home gathering for me to come here today, and I'm real proud that you're real excited that you invited me. Number one, I think it was 3 years ago in October, if I remember right, that I was in the groundbreaking across the street in your facility. And I had not been back up there since the time. It's real interesting. I also see a lot of the state police troopers that I knew in one capacity or another over the years that I've been in it. I want to tell Larry and I want to tell John, don't worry about the acting. I was acting for 3 years and I'm still here. So you've got lots of time to go yet with that work. Okay? Just don't worry about that. I am real proud to be here to get out into the field to actually see. I think I have a member of my staff that's here. Don Perry, are you here? Don Perry is the state architect. When we have problems with buildings like programs like this, Don is one of them I go to, or else call him in my office. That's more impressive a little bit. And say, we got a problem, what are you going to do about it? And Don has come through very graciously for us. Campbell couldn't be here, he is the director. But I am particularly proud that the Department of Administration, in charge with all its duties, can work with these various agencies in all the programs, whether it's building a building, or buying a car, or food, or uniforms, whatever you may have, that you as citizens of the state can rest assured that there is a good cooperation. And we're proud to be part of this groundbreaking. And I think this is a wonderful thing for you people in not only the entire state, but especially for you people in the county. And I thank you.
Additionally to the state architect that is here, Mr. Urban Perucker, he was here a moment ago, back here in the back with his lovely wife, are here. Thank you. He's the architect that has designed this building. Back over in the other corner is Mr. Ron Overly, who is the general contractor in charge of the firm, or in charge of the building, and also in charge of the firm as such. His wife is here someplace as well, and she's seated here. It's nice having you here with us as well. Thank you for joining us. I would next like to introduce to you Mr. John Sadler, our board member from Vincennes. If, again, it wasn't for the support of the State Police Board and the various others that are involved, it'd be impossible for us to do some of the things that we do. The State Police Act requires that any kind of building program not only have the legislative and financial support that's behind such construction, but also it requires board approval. We're very fortunate in the State Police in having a board and members such as Mr. Sadler, who drives as far as he did this morning, that has such an interest in what we're doing and where we're doing it, that they will be a part of such a ceremony. Mr. Sadler, please.
Thanks, Superintendent. I think when I was told that I was to say a few words here, I was like the rest of you. I thought I was up here just to attend. And I told the superintendent that I said, well, our president, we have 2 attorneys on the board, are much better qualified to say a few words here than I. I said, why didn't you ask them? His reply was, I did. Seriously, I'm quite proud to be one of the members of the 6-member board of Indiana State Police. I'm firmly convinced that we're picking the best possible personnel coming into this organization as our state police people, men and women. Be careful with that. And I think, such as this as we're doing today, facilities here for these officers, I think we need to do this, as well as other technological advances, to keep them the best state police in the United States. I'm convinced of it. Thank you for listening.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm kind of wearing 2 hats today. One, I guess, as chairman of the State Budget Committee that has the the job description to go ahead and approve projects that the General Assembly puts in the capital budget, and this being one of those. I would like to congratulate both departments, Department of Corrections as well as the State Police, for the cooperation in the site. I haven't got the full details of what the deal was, but hopefully the state, the taxpayer, saved some money somewhere in between. I'm not sure, but I think we did, and I think this is a fine site. As a legislator, I'm really pleased that this was the site that was chosen. I think that over the years it's very easy for the state police to justify locating the facilities at interstate exits or as close to interstates as possible. But I think this is a little bit different because of the amount of correctional facilities in this area, and I think the comfort level with the citizens in the community and how much the district has meant by being in this location. To the staff, I know you've waited for a long time for this facility. In some cases it may be a little bit behind now, but I think the groundbreaking shows that construction will be underway and you'll be finally in the house hopefully within a year or less. I guess the significance, and I never could figure out how we came up with district numbers, but this is District 51, and I now understand that's the cycle in which we replaced the building. So this is the 51st year, so maybe that's why we're a year behind a little bit here. But congratulations, particularly the staff. I know I get nothing but good comments in this area from the police post and the officers that serve in that area, and I would like to thank you for that, sir.
Not only did we have to throw in John Shetland part of the deal, but we threw in the old post as well. He took that in the process. I think he had some premonition of things to come, and
Okay.
Oh, you were checking on gas. You weren't where I see you. I was concerned.
I'm on the wrong side. My problem.
Say, this is HD. I'll be on here one minute.
The house was up, framed, the walls were up, the door, the windows, the roof.
Say check.